The man who built the most dominant version of Messi said 4 words: leave the kid alone. Not someone who wishes Barcelona harm, but the man who personally decided across 219 matches when Messi rested and when he played, a man who understood better than anyone what the weight of that comparison actually costs. That comparison began in the summer of 2024 when Yamal, at just 16 years old, when he returned to Barcelona, he finished the season with 18 goals and 21 assists. Everyone remembers the night he dismantled the entire inner back line and curled the ball into the net for UEFA Goal of the Season. When Barcelona needed a win to seal the title, nobody expected a 17-year-old to be the decisive force. He received the ball on the wing and, without a moment's hesitation, tucked it under the bar to clinch the championship. People stopped seeing a teenager, and so the question of the new Messi became inevitable. Under Guardiola, Yamal would become a version of himself that modern football has never seen. In the next few minutes, you'll find out exactly why. Guardiola was not questioning Yamal's talent. He was warning about something far more dangerous. Messi scored 90 goals in a single season for 15 years straight, without stopping and without injuries. That is the burden the Messi comparison places on 18-year-old shoulders. That very comparison became the primary reason Yamal has to play every single match. Flick could not take him off because Barcelona could not function without him. Guardiola saw exactly that. He was not talking about football, he was talking about the weight. But to truly understand what he meant, you only need to look at what happens to Yamal every 3 days when Barcelona lose the ball and Yamal, with music playing, has to sprint back into defense. 90 minutes every 3 days, inside a system built on a high defensive line that offers no forgiveness. What's the real problem here? Nobody to slow the game down when it needs to slow down, and that's where the burnout begins. That was a problem Messi never had. He could conserve energy while Xi and Iniesta controlled possession. Then one moment, one sprint, one goal. That wasn't coincidence. Guardiola understood that genius isn't spent, it's preserved. And nobody knew that better than the man who gave him his first minutes for Barcelona. Xavi called him an unfinished product, not as a criticism, but as a warning. Why? Because Yamal's qualities flourish in a controlled environment. Xavi and Guardiola both warned about this, and the numbers reveal that Barcelona listened to neither. Here's how. By his 18th, Yamal had played more minutes than Messi, Xi, and Iniesta had at that age combined. 8,000 minutes. No elite player in modern football history had reached that figure before adulthood. Even Pedri, who accumulated 5,000 minutes at the same age, could not escape the consequences. He has since suffered 5 hamstring injuries. Yamal is at 8th. Then a new problem arrives. Yamal is fasting an entire month, no water, and no food from sunrise to sunset. Barcelona created a specialized nutritional plan for him, but that plan does not change the fixture schedule. Dehydration through the day, depleted energy levels, heading into the week when Spain play the Finalissima, with not a single day of rest in between. When Atletico Madrid put 4 goals past Barcelona before halftime in the Copa del Rey, every manager in the world pulls their best player at that moment and protects him for the next game. Not Flick. Flick leaves Yamal on for the full 90 minutes in a 4-0 defeat, and despite the catastrophic result, Yamal still finishes with a rating of 7.6. Girona was exactly what Guardiola was talking about. Yamal managed a single shot on target. Near the end of the first half, Barcelona win a penalty, the perfect moment to take control. Yamal picks up the ball, and everyone knows what is coming. But the fatigue in his legs had already done its work. Everyone would say it was just a bad day. But it was not a bad day. It was a physiological consequence of a system that does not know the meaning of rest. And This is no coincidence because Barcelona had a Yamal before Yamal. August 2019, Fati, at 16, comes off the bench against Real Betis and introduces himself to the world. At 17, he becomes the youngest scorer in Champions League history, and Barcelona place a burden on him that he was never built to carry. Messi's number 10. Fati was the first to wear that shirt after Messi left. Then, on the 7th of November 2020, at 18 years old, Fati ruptures his meniscus. What followed was not just an injury. The surgeon who operated, Dr. Ramon Cugat, openly revealed that the stitches tore because Barcelona were pushing Fati through twice-daily training sessions during his recovery, instead of once. Today, he is 23 years old and on loan at Monaco. Barcelona watched all of this happen. And what did they change? Just the name on the shirt. Opponents have already begun exploiting the weaknesses that the system has left exposed. Yamal scores 80% of his goals with his left foot, and Simeone was the first to use that. He deliberately pushed Yamal onto his right side, knowing his effectiveness drops sharply when he is isolated there. A technical vulnerability that Xavi had identified years earlier is now public knowledge for every team preparing against Barcelona. Barcelona tried to create rotation. They signed Rooney Bargi specifically as an alternative. But in practice, he barely plays. When Yamal does not play, the results suffer. The reality is this: Yamal was never the problem. The problem is Barcelona's system, and it is currently collapsing. If this agony continues, changing the manager will not just be an option, it will be the only way out. And that brings us to the question that can no longer be avoided. What if the man who puts out this fire is the very same man who created Lionel Messi? Guardiola knows the formula, and he certainly would not waste it on pointless defensive sprints. Guardiola's system, even for a generational talent, does not carry the entire team on one player's back. He protected Foden for years, refusing to send him on loan, waiting until he was truly ready. Nobody noticed. Ronaldo said the exact same words after the Nations League final: "Leave him alone because he has plenty of talent." Manchester City secretly tried to sign Yamal. In 2023, Pep has been watching him for years and recently admitted publicly that he would love to coach him, adding only that it probably will not happen. "Barcelona called me. I will go to Barcelona. It is my cup." Barcelona played Levante, and it was Yamal's first match since Ramadan began. The game was already decided, and his replacement did not enter until the 88th minute. Exhausted and dehydrated, Yamal still managed an assist. Barcelona have 3 more consecutive matches at the exact same kickoff time during Ramadan. And the question nobody wants to say out loud: will Yamal make it through all 3 without consequences?